Yeah, man. This is a late night edition for me, so I'm gonna do this quick video for you guys. This will be a short video because I'm just covering something specific, and I wanted to get this information out to you guys because I thought it was very important. Now, this article it talks about how Bank of America is shifting part of its derivatives portfolio, about 71% of it, over to a subsidiary company that's flush with insured deposits. Okay, so basically what the bank is doing is it has this huge portfolio of derivatives contracts that it's involved with, and it's about $73 billion, and so $53 billion of it they're shifting to a company that is basically aligned with customer deposits. Now, where this gets very interesting here is when you look at Zero Hedge, and this is one of the sites that I follow because they put a lot of good information out there. You just have to collaborate the stories yourself. But you know what recently happened was that there was a credit downgrade last month, and it said the bank has moved derivatives from its Merrill Lynch unit to a subsidiary flush with insured deposits, according to people with direct knowledge of the situation. Okay, so here's something else that's interesting. Here's another article. Bank of America, which today reported a bottom line loss net of one-time beneficial items, did something quite tricky and extremely devious last month. It shifted anywhere up to a total of $53 trillion of total derivatives it held as of last June 30th onto its books at Q2 from a holding company which was downgraded by Moody's. Okay, now here's the interesting thing, because you really need to understand why this is important. Okay, now in the event that something goes wrong, and let's say the bank loses money or goes under, that the holders of these derivative contracts, basically they get to grab assets first and leave anyone else scrambling for crumbs. And it says, so this move amounts to a direct transfer from derivatives counterparties of Merrill to the taxpayers via the FDIC. So you have to understand something. Bank of America has over $1 trillion in deposits. Okay, if this bank goes under, and these creditors come in, which are mainly big banks, probably European banks, who hold these derivatives contracts, come in and to take bank assets to cover for their losses, they're going to be taking customer deposits. Okay, and it's going to be up to the FDIC to basically return those deposits back to the customer. Now, if you follow the FDIC, they usually carry about 1% of the reserve, carry 1% in reserves, the money required to insure all deposits held by U.S. banks, which basically means that they are pretty much naked. So if Bank of America goes under, the FDIC is going to have to go to the Treasury and ask for almost $1 trillion, to cover all the customer deposits at Bank of America, because they did this move to shift their derivatives portfolio onto the bank itself. Okay, and so this move basically is signaling that they're saying that Bank of America is in trouble. Okay, and it says the reason that commentators like Chris Whalen are relatively sanguine about Bank of America likely becoming insolvent as a result of eventual mortgage and other litigation losses is that it would be a holding company bankruptcy. Okay, the operating units, mostly important the banks, would not be affected, and a couple will be spun out into new entities or sold. It says shareholders will be wiped out, and holding company creditors, most importantly bondholders, would take the hit, having their debt haircut and partly converted into equity. It says this change, meaning that the change of actually taking their derivatives portfolio and putting it onto the bank itself, this move reflects either criminal incompetence or abject corruption by the Fed. It says, even though I've expressed my doubts as to whether the Frank Dodd resolutions will work, dumping derivatives onto depositories pretty much guarantees a Frank Dodd resolution will fail. Okay, so I mean, I want you guys to go ahead and take the time to read this information for yourself. But basically, in English, what it's saying is that Bank of America is signaling that there's a problem at the bank, and that is the reason why they have to move these derivatives onto the bank's books. Okay, and in the event that there's a collapse, the holders of these derivative contracts have first dibs on bank assets, which are customer deposits, and the FDIC is going to have to clean up the mess. And if the FDIC has to clean up the mess, that means that they're going to be going to the Treasury to borrow money, and everybody knows the United States is broke as hell, and so they're going to have to print more money, borrow from the Fed, in order to give the account holders back their deposits. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that if there is another bailout and the United States has to go to this bank to print out enormous amounts of money, that means that gold and silver are going to go through the roof. And so this is one of the reasons why I like gold and silver, because it doesn't have counterparty risk. And what I'm showing you here is a prime example coming from Bloomberg itself that this is counterparty risk. Okay, and if the Fed is signaling that this is okay, you know what I'm saying, then you need to be doing your due diligence and making sure that you are protecting yourself, because the money of the United States is not the money of the people, it's the money of the Rothschild family. And if they're making these kind of decisions that are putting the taxpayers at risk, then hey, we need to do what we need to do to protect ourselves. So with that ado, I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll be hollering at you in a minute. Late.